Hello and welcome to 3CE's Fleet Electrification webinar series. So let's go ahead to the first slide. Central Coast Community Energy, or 3CE, is committed to helping our member agencies tackle the ambitious task of fleet electrification. We understand this can feel like a daunting effort for local governments, and we're here to help you every step of the way. Through our programs, we offer a full suite of rebates and consulting services designed to guide you through the transition. We have funding to help you develop a comprehensive plan, from determining how many electric vehicles you'll need to purchase and when, to identifying the best locations for charging infrastructure. When your plan is ready, 3CE also provides funding for both the vehicles and the charging infrastructure to bring it all to life. So today's webinar, can we go to the next screen? Today's webinar will explore the many advantages of fleet electrification, including regulatory compliance, progress towards climate goals, and achieving long-term savings. Each webinar in the series is designed to provide short, digestible topics, followed by a Q&A period to address any questions you may have. Looking ahead, future webinars will focus on topics like the California Air Resources Board Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation, understanding reporting requirements, and guidance on available public funds to finance the transition. We will also be presenting case studies from real-life Plan Your Fleet engagements with your neighboring cities and counties, giving you a first look at how this program works and the outcomes that you can expect. So here is Natalie Hansen, Director of Energy Programs with Optany, and our Plan Your Fleet Program Lead Consultant. Take it away, Natalie.
Thanks, Judy. Thanks for everyone who's here with us today and watching this after the recording. We wanted to talk a little bit about the process of fleet electrification from a high level so that we can better understand the kind of subsequent steps that we're going to talk about. So the roadmap here involves a number of steps, and all of these are, every step that I mentioned here is in some way covered by 3CE's support and funding. So the Plan Your Fleet program, which we are talking about today, primarily is to cover the planning process of your transportation decarbonization effort. So if you join the 3CE program, we start with data collection and we pass through these first 4 steps on the road. So we establish your fleet electrification timeline, we develop the charging infrastructure needs, so how many chargers you need to support your future electric fleet. And then we can also develop engineered site designs in the event that you are ready to install your EV chargers. We can help with the process of getting a new service from your electrical utility. And then when you are ready to implement the project and purchase chargers and add EVs to your fleet, you can access the Charge Your Fleet and Electrify Your Fleet programs through 3CE for some supplementary funding. Ongoing tasks that we often support and are seeing as pretty common are listed on this slide here. We're going to keep to really the focus on why you should electrify your fleet, but please stay tuned for future webinars on some of these deeper dive topics about CARB reporting, grant applications, and funding opportunities, et cetera. So today we're specifically talking about the main reasons that you should electrify your fleet. And the first reason we're going to talk about, and the reason that might be the biggest driver for fleet electrification, is regulatory compliance. In California, we have a number of regulations that are impacting public agencies such as yours, and what the composition of your fleet looks like. So first, and probably most important, is advanced clean fleets. This is a mandate implemented by the California Air Resources Board, and it focuses on government and high priority fleets. It requires the gradual implementation of electric vehicles into public agency fleets. Starting in 2024, 50% of your new purchases of medium and heavy duty vehicles must be electric vehicles. And starting in 2027, 100% of new purchases must be EVs. for medium and heavy duty vehicles. On the transit side of things, the Innovative Clean Transit mandate requires that starting in 2029, public transit agencies must begin purchasing zero emission buses. So if you hear me say ZEB, that's a bus. You hear me say ZEV, that's zero emission vehicle. Third is advanced clean cars. This one is going to have more of an impact on manufacturers and those that are selling vehicles in California. Over the course of the next decade, manufacturers in California must sell an increasing percentage of light-duty zero-emission vehicles, and internal combustion engine vehicles, so gasoline-powered vehicles, will have increasingly strict emission standards between now and 10 years from now. The target for California in 2035 is that all vehicle sales in the state, 2035 and beyond, will be EVs or near ZEVs. And finally, we're looking at advanced clean trucks, which was really the first mandate for electrification of vehicles that came into play in California. This one impacts truck fleet and manufacturers. So manufacturers must sell an increasing percentage of zero emission trucks and chassis cabs, and fleets with more than 50 trucks must file a report to the California Air Resources Board. Reason number 2 is that you can probably realize operational cost savings through vehicle electrification. When we took a sample of many fleets that we've worked with that are public agencies, very similar to the fleets, county and city fleets that are member agencies of 3CE, we found that public agencies can realize an average of 31 to 36% total savings from driving EVs instead of gasoline or diesel powered vehicles. When you look at the chart on this slide, you'll see that the top set of bars is for internal combustion engine vehicles, which add up to 100%. So we're comparing on a percentage basis to that. Medium and light duty vehicles realize a pretty substantial cost savings. And then on heavy duty electric vehicles, we're just seeing an increase, a slightly higher fueling cost, but that the maintenance and repair costs are the same. There are fewer moving parts inside an EV, which is why there are fewer maintenance and repair costs. We've seen this both in the data, but also anecdotally, we've heard this from fleet managers who say, all we have to do every couple of months is rotate the tires and it's off out of the shop and back on the road. So we're seeing a pretty substantial savings on fuel and maintenance costs for public agencies. There are other cost management and saving strategies that are relevant to vehicle electrification. You can use charge management software on your chargers to make sure that you are only taking electricity from the grid at times that make sense financially. So we're charging vehicles as much as possible during off-peak times, and we're reducing site peak loads to reduce demand charges. Second, both PG&E and SoCal Edison SCE have EV charging electricity rates that are more competitive from a cost perspective than potentially using your facility load, your facility tariff. So if you have an EV charger that's on a dedicated electrical service, you can charge that vehicle at a lower rate than the equivalent fueling costs for gasoline or diesel. And then finally, the cost of electricity is more predictable than gasoline prices, so we can more accurately project future costs to public agencies. The third reason is for climate action targets. There are a number of things at play here. It might be your local government climate action target, or it might be driven by the state's targets. But either way, we've got a number of public agencies in California that have climate action plans. So we're nearly half of counties and cities in California have completed climate action plans. This it's nearly half, but it's 3/4 of the population of California that is impacted by climate action plans. Of the cities and counties with those climate action plans, we're seeing that 32 cities and 3 counties, at least in California, have pledged to be carbon neutral by 2045. One of the things that will be required to achieve carbon neutrality is vehicle electrification. So the pie chart on the right-hand side shows 60% of climate action plans contemplate carbon neutrality by 2045, but you'll see that there are several 11% and 13% that contemplate 2030 and 2035 goals. So combined, that's a quarter of the climate action plans that we're looking at. So likely you are probably impacted as the employee of a public agency. You're likely impacted by a climate action plan and probably need to start contemplating how you will achieve carbon neutrality with your fleet by electrification. In California, kind of bigger picture, the state plans to cut GHG emissions by 85% by 2045. The market share of EVs in California is 6.5% and increasing. Emissions from transportation are about half of the GHG emissions from cities. So that's a pretty big chunk of emissions that could be reduced via fleet electrification. As member agencies of 3CE, electrifying your fleet means that you are fueling your vehicles with 100% emissions-free electricity. And all of these things can help you to meet your climate action plan goals. When we talk specifically about how much of an impact you can have against your baseline greenhouse gas emissions, this is a sample set of data on the chart here. So the dotted line across the top shows the baseline emissions, which is 100% because we're comparing against that. The blue line shows the scenario where only medium and heavy duty vehicles are electrified. So that would be essentially a minimum compliance scenario for advanced clean fleets. And even still, with the minimum compliance approach, this sample set of data is likely to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by about 40% by the end of the timeline. So the timeline being through 2037. Green and orange on this chart represent two very similar scenarios with a small difference at the end. So the main thing here is that we're looking at a complete electrification scenario. The difference with the orange line is just that there are some exemptions to advanced clean fleets that we exempted, but by the time 2035 rolls around, they may no longer be exemptions from the mandate. So we're looking at potentially the reduction of GHGs by anywhere from 90 to 100% in this scenario. And that's fleet-related emissions. So this relatively conservative timeline also shows that by 2030, should that be, your climate action plan target year, under the most conservative scenario, this sample fleet would reduce GHGs from vehicles by 15%. But under the two more aggressive scenarios would achieve 50% GHG reduction by 2030, which is substantial considering many fleets are looking at a 2045 carbon neutrality timescale. The other piece, we didn't mark it as a reason, but it is just a kind of constant thread that we're discussing, which is that there is project funding available for vehicle electrification and EV charging right now, and it will not be guaranteed into the future. So this slide is not exhaustive, but it's a highlight of funding opportunities that are currently available to member agencies of 3CE for fleet electrification. On the left-hand side, we're showing vehicle-specific funding. On the right-hand side, we're showing chargers and infrastructure-specific funding. So First, I want to mention the 3CE programs. Electrify Your Fleet provides from $1,000 to $100,000 per vehicle as a rebate. You can get up to $150,000 per year for your member agency, pending availability of funds on a first come, first serve basis. The range is substantial because we're talking about anywhere from a light duty car all the way up to a heavy duty Class 8 truck. And there are increments in between. So if you have a heavy duty vehicle that you need to replace in your fleet and you want to purchase an EV, you can access up to $100,000 for that vehicle. The other 3CE program on this slide is 3CE's Charge Your Fleet program, which is a very similar structure to the program. The cap is $150,000 per year per member agency, as long as funds are available on a first come, first serve basis, and it's issued as a rebate. The rebates are split between level 2 and level 3 charging. So if you had a big project of DC fast chargers that you were planning to install, you could get up to $150,000 for that project. Next, I wanted to highlight California's California HVIP program, because this program is expected to no longer have funds by end of this year. HVIP has a number of levels of incentive structures based on the size of the vehicle. The program has about $50 million remaining in its budget. And like I said, the state is expecting it to be sunset by the end of this year and without any assurance that they will be refunding it. So those are applied at point of purchase for the vehicle. So you can go to the California HVIP website. You can use their database that is a full database of all of their vehicles that are eligible for funding. And you can search by vehicle type, or you can search by the specific vehicle that you are looking for. But it's really, really well designed as a website and easy to navigate. So I would just suggest you take a look at that one before purchasing any new vehicles. The next two programs are the utility run programs for vehicle electrification, SCE's Charge Ready program, and PG&E's EV Fleets program. This is determined based on who your utility provider is. So if you're in SCE territory, it's Charge Ready. If you're in PG&E territory, it's EV Fleets. This will provide, among other things, rebates for EV charging infrastructure and applied on a per vehicle basis. So these are really, really big programs that make a lot of, can make a big impact in your project, because they will also potentially provide a new electrical service at no cost to the customer, as long as your project is below their cost threshold. So keep those two in mind for sites where you intend to install a lot of EV charging and specific to fleet, because you can work with SCE and PG&E to build those projects and make sure that you have enough power for your chargers. And then finally, the last two on each of these lists is the Inflation Reduction Act Commercial Clean Vehicle Tax Credit, which is not a tax credit to public agencies, but it is still called that. And then the Investment Tax Credit, or you might see it referred to as ITC, for fueling infrastructure, so for your chargers. Those are both accessed through a form that you submit to the IRS post-purchase, and they will be issued to you as direct pay, not as a tax credit, because member agencies of 3CE are not paying taxes. So you would fill out the IRS form, show your proof of purchase, and then you can get the funding from the IRS as a direct payment. So we talked about all of these benefits and reasons to electrify your fleet, and you're probably wondering, how do I take this forward? What can I do today? You can first visit the 3CE Plan Your Fleet website, where you will be able to find our data collection template spreadsheet. Download the data collection template spreadsheet and either do it, if you're the fleet manager, you can do this, or have the fleet manager of your of your agency collect the vehicle data. It's ranked in by priority, or it's kind of coded by priority. So highest priority data is really all we need, but we would probably ask you for more if you only provide a limited selection of data. And then you can fill that out and then complete your plan your fleet interest form and upload that data collection template with your interest form. If you are an agency that doesn't collect and maintain fleet data, please send us an email. We may be able to support you with some additional help there. But those are your steps for today. I think first go to the 3CE Plan Your Fleet website and find out a little bit more about the program and what kind of data we're looking for, and then collect that data and submit the application. We have some time for questions and answers.
Okay, well, we'll skip question and answer for
Okay.
today. Thank you all for joining us for the first webinar in our Fleet Electrification series. We hope you found the session valuable and that it provided you with insights into the benefits to transitioning to an all-electric fleet. And we hope that we made the prospect seem a little bit more manageable. As I mentioned, this is just the beginning of a series of webinars designed to guide and support you throughout your electrification journey. We encourage you to join us for the upcoming webinars where we will dive deeper into compliance, funding, and case studies that could directly benefit your fleet planning efforts. So my name is Judy Young, and this was Natalie Hanson with Optany. Please reach out with any questions, and thank you for joining today.